chick, 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 chick. Come on, come on, ladies. Come on, come on. Good morning, ladies. Back in 1914, events were unfolding in other parts of the world that would eventually lead us into World War I. And during that time, Europe was doing everything that they could to fight the battles, and part of what they were doing was grabbing people from all walks of life to hold guns. And so they were taking farmers and lawyers and doctors and training them to be soldiers. And so they would be fighting on the front lines instead of doing what they had been doing months earlier. And like I said, there were farmers and agricultural workers that were being drawn into being soldiers. And so that went on, and as it went on, you got to realize that now, instead of growing potatoes and wheat, these former farmers were carrying guns. And as that went on, Europe experienced food shortages. In fact, critical food shortages. And it became such a hindrance to their efforts that in 1917, the United States realized that we couldn't just be neutral in this, and we had to ramp up our support for Europe. And in addition to getting the military ramped up and those types of resources to a level that we could go ahead and enter in and be effective partners in the war effort, we also knew that the Europe average citizen was suffering. They were out of food. Their soldiers were out of food. And so we ramped up our food production and started sending it over to Europe. But at about this time of year in 1917, the government started to promote war gardens. And these war gardens were, the logic behind them was to free up the strain on the big commercial food producers in the United States, and have the citizens that had the resources. They were asked to open up areas in their backyard, utilize open space at their churches, utilize open spaces at the schools to grow gardens, these war gardens, and they were encouraged to grow certain crops so that they would have root crops that they could store without much effort, and they would keep for a while. They were encouraged to grow crops that they could can, and they were encouraged to grow crops that just that they could consume right away. Again, the idea was to reduce the strain on the U.S. major large food suppliers so that they could send food to Europe, and our troops would be taken care of, while the average U.S. citizen could go ahead and grow their own crops. In addition to that, in addition to the material support that was providing, it was a morale booster. So here, people in the United States, all walks of life, no matter what lot you found yourself in at the time, you were able to participate in this effort for good. And so we now call them victory gardens. We look back and we call them, it started off as war gardens, but we call them victory gardens because people participated in them and they felt like they were part of any victories that were being realized. And so as we find ourselves in a critical situation, it's certainly not the same as World War I, and these gardens continued into World War II. but we don't find ourselves in necessarily in that same circumstance, but we do find ourselves in a position of let's be mindful of everybody around us. And so if you can find a way, we're getting ready, my family is getting ready to start planting a garden together. And this is all, I'm sharing this with you. This is a part of a series of videos as my family journeys through this 30-day stay-at-home order that was edicted by our county and city and now the state, and in fact 75% of the U.S. is under some type of restricted activity order. This is a part of those videos that's just documenting our walk through this. Nothing earth-shattering or anything like that, just giving you guys a glimpse into what it's like for our family, and maybe you can identify with some of that. If you want to see some of the other videos, click this link up here. Please do subscribe and like these videos if you do like them, and then give me some comments. What are you guys doing during this 30-day shutdown, or if it's longer than that or shorter than that? Let me know what's going on. But what we're doing is we're going to start our garden, and we're going to take the same route. I'm going to have some root crops in place, and I'm also going to have some items, some vegetables that we'll go ahead and can. And then we'll also have those beautiful fresh crops, the tomatoes and the lettuce and things like that. We can go out and eat off the vine, right? But I'm using it twofold as well. We're using it for that emotional health. I told you that I have 3 strategies: emotional, physical, and spiritual health that I want to take care of during this time that we're asked to stay at home. And so this is an emotional side. We get out and we'll be in the garden, putting our fingers in the soil. We love that. We absolutely love that. And then tasting the first fruits of the harvest. Fantastic. It's a morale booster. It's a routine for us. So we're going to go ahead and do that for that reason. But in addition to that, I don't know if it will help. But I do know that in the early stages of this stay-at-home order, even prior to, there were runs at the grocery store on toilet paper. We all heard about that. But there were runs on staples, flour and rice and beans and canned goods, including some of the stuff that we can go ahead and grow. And so in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, there are people that had the resources to go out there and grab a whole bunch, grab 2 months, 3 months, a month, 6 months worth of canned goods and staples. There were some that couldn't afford to do that at the time. There are some that can't afford to do that right now. There are some that are on restricted activities that they can't get out and do that. And so if there's a shortage on the shelf of canned goods or fresh vegetables or other type of day-to-day essentials, I don't want to add to that. And I've got a backyard that I can grow some stuff. I've got some experience with it. I've had wonderful gardens throughout the year. I've got to get my garden back in shape because it's in dreadful shape right now. It's kind of run its course as far as my raised beds. But again, if I can alleviate any type of shortage on the shelf, instead of me going and grabbing a can of green beans, I'm going to grow some green beans because I have the resources to do that, and I'm going to leave that can for those people that are in a little bit different situation than we are. It's not, again, I don't think it's anything that's earth-shattering. It's a part of the routine and the activities that we want to include in this family, but it's also thinking community. And I think that we all should do some of those types of things. If nothing else, it puts us back in touch with the humanity around us. And so, I've talked about some of the things that we're doing. I want to hear what you guys are doing. Are you taking some steps to be more self-sufficient, be more in control of your food supply. Or, I see a lot of comments about people cutting their own hair. I've been cutting my own hair. You guys have probably noticed that. I've been cutting my own hair for years and years and years now. So let me know about those. Please comment below. Let me hear what you're going through, what you guys are doing. And if you like the video, go ahead and hit like. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit subscribe. Really just trying to create some community here and have some fun with it. I trust that you guys are doing everything that you can to stay well, and I'll see you tomorrow.